The Chronicles of Zalara, The Quest for the Crystal Cave. The kingdom of Zalara was once a peaceful and prosperous land, ruled by the wise and benevolent King Arion. He had a beautiful daughter, Princess Lila, who was beloved by all. She was kind, brave, and curious, always eager to learn new things and explore new places. One day, she decided to visit the great library of Zalara, where she hoped to find some ancient books and scrolls about the history and legends of her kingdom. She loved reading stories about the heroes and villains, the magic and mysteries, the dragons and fairies that once inhabited the world. She entered the library and was greeted by the old librarian, Master Elric. He was a friendly and knowledgeable man who had spent his whole life studying and collecting books. He knew every book in the library by heart, and he was always happy to help anyone who came to seek his guidance. "Welcome, Princess Lila," he said with a smile. "What can I do for you today?" "I'm looking for some books about the old legends of Zalara," she said. "Do you have any recommendations?" Of course," he said. "Follow me, please." He led her to a section of the library that was filled with dusty and worn books. He picked one from a shelf and handed it to her. "This is one of my favorites," he said. "It's called The Chronicles of Zalara. It tells the story of how our kingdom was founded by the great hero Zala, who fought against the evil sorcerer Malakar and his army of dark creatures." "Wow, that sounds exciting," she said. "Thank you, Master Elric." "My pleasure, Princess Lila," he said. "You can take this book with you if you like, but be careful, it's very old and fragile." "I will," she said. "Thank you again." She took the book and left the library. She was eager to read it as soon as possible. She returned to her room in the palace and opened the book. She was amazed by what she saw. The book was not only written in words, but also illustrated with colorful and detailed drawings. She felt like she was entering another world as she read the first page. The book began with a prologue that explained the background of the story. Long ago, before Zalara was a kingdom, it was a land of chaos and darkness. A powerful sorcerer named Malakar ruled over it with an iron fist. He had mastered the dark arts of necromancy and summoning, and he used them to create an army of undead soldiers, demons, and monsters. He wanted to conquer the whole world and make it his own. But there was one man who stood against him. His name was Zala, and he was a warrior of light. He had a sword that shone like the sun, and a shield that reflected the moon. He had a loyal companion, a dragon named Fira, who breathed fire and flew in the sky. Zalor gathered a band of brave men and women who shared his vision of freedom and justice. They called themselves the Zalarans, and they fought against Malakar's forces wherever they could. The book then continued with the first chapter, which described how Zalor met Fira for the first time. Zalor was hunting in the forest when he heard a loud roar. He followed the sound and found a clearing where a large dragon lay wounded on the ground. It had been attacked by a group of Malakar's soldiers who had shot arrows at it from a distance. Zala felt pity for the creature, even though he knew it could be dangerous. He approached it slowly and carefully, holding his sword in case it attacked him. But the dragon did not attack him. Instead, it looked at him with gratitude in its eyes. It seemed to sense that Zalor meant no harm. Zalor spoke to it in a gentle voice. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I'm here to help you." He took out his knife and cut off the arrows that pierced its scales. He then used some herbs he had collected to treat its wounds. The dragon groaned in pain, but also in relief as Zalor healed it. "Thank you," it said in a deep but soft voice. "You can talk?" Zalor asked in surprise. "Yes," the dragon said. "I can talk to those who have pure hearts." "What is your name?" Zalor asked. "My name is Fira," the dragon said. "My name is Zalor," Zalor said. They looked at each other for a moment, feeling a bond of friendship forming between them. "Will you come with me?" Zalor asked. "Where are you going?" Fira asked. "I'm going to fight against Malakar, the evil sorcerer who rules this land," Zalor said. "Why?" Fira asked. "Because he is a tyrant who oppresses the people and destroys the nature," Zalor said. "He must be stopped." "I agree," Fira said. He is the one who hurt me and my kin. He is the enemy of all living things." "Then join me," Zalor said. "Together we can defeat him." "Okay," Fira said. "I will join you." They smiled at each other and rose to their feet. They left the clearing and headed to the nearest village, where Zalor's friends were waiting for him. They did not know it yet, but they had just begun a journey that would change the fate of the world. Zalor and Fira arrived at the village of Rana, where Zalor's friends were staying. They were a diverse group of people from different backgrounds and races. There were humans, elves, dwarves, and even a fairy. They had all joined Zalor's cause because they believed in his ideals and admired his courage. They welcomed Zalor and Fira with joy and curiosity. They had never seen a dragon before, and they were amazed by its size and beauty. "Who is this?" one of them asked. "This is Fira," Zalor said. "He is a dragon, and he is my friend." "A dragon?" another one asked. "How did you meet him?" Zalor told them the story of how he had saved Fira from Malakar's soldiers, and how they had decided to join forces. "That's incredible," another one said. "You have a dragon on your side. That's a great advantage." "Yes, it is," Zalor said. "But we still need more allies if we want to defeat Malakar. He has a huge army and a lot of magic." "Where can we find more allies?" another one asked. "I have an idea," Zalor said. "There is a place called the Crystal Cave, where the ancient sages used to live. They were wise and powerful beings who knew many secrets of the world. They left behind some of their writings and artifacts in the cave. Maybe we can find some clues there about how to defeat Malakar." "Where is the Crystal Cave?" another one asked. "It's in the mountains, not far from here," Zalor said. "But it's guarded by a giant spider that lives in the cave. It's very dangerous." "Then we'll have to be careful," another one said. "Are you ready to go?" Zalor asked. "Yes, we are," they all said. "Then let's go," Zalor said. They packed their bags and mounted their horses. Fira flew above them, scouting the way. They left the village and headed to the mountains, where the crystal cave awaited them. They did not know it yet, but they were about to face a great challenge and a great discovery. Zalor and his friends reached the mountains and followed a narrow path that led to the crystal cave. They could see the entrance of the cave from a distance. It was a large opening in the rock, surrounded by glittering crystals of different colors. They approached the cave cautiously, knowing that the giant spider could be hiding inside. "Be careful," Zalor said. "The spider is very fast and venomous. Don't let it bite you." They entered the cave and saw a dark tunnel that stretched into the depths of the mountain. They lit some torches and walked along the tunnel, looking for signs of the spider. They soon found them. They saw webs covering the walls and ceiling of the tunnel, and bones and carcasses of various animals scattered on the floor. They also heard a low hissing sound coming from ahead. "It's here," Zalor said. "Get ready to fight." They drew their weapons and advanced slowly. They reached a large chamber where the spider was waiting for them. It was a huge creature with 8 hairy legs, 8 red eyes, and 2 sharp fangs. It was covered with black and yellow stripes, and it had a red hourglass mark on its abdomen. It saw them and screeched loudly, launching itself at them. Zalor and his friends dodged its attack and counterattacked with their swords, axes, bows, and daggers. They tried to hit its weak spots, such as its eyes and its belly, but the spider was agile and resilient. It dodged some of their blows and blocked others with its legs. It also spat webs at them, trying to trap them or slow them down. It managed to wound some of them, but none of them fatally. Fira joined the fight as well. He flew around the chamber, breathing fire at the spider. He burned some of its webs and singed some of its hairs, but he could not get too close to it, or it would bite him with its fangs. The fight lasted for several minutes, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. Then Zalor saw an opportunity. He noticed that one of the spider's eyes was injured by an arrow. He decided to aim for that eye with his sword. He waited for the right moment, then leapt at the spider, swinging his sword with all his strength. He hit his target. His sword pierced through the spider's eye and into its brain. The spider shrieked in pain and collapsed on the ground, twitching for a few seconds before dying. Zalara pulled out his sword and wiped off the blood. He looked at his friends and smiled. "We did it," he said. "We killed the spider." They cheered and congratulated each other. They checked their wounds and treated them with some herbs. They were all alive and well, except for some minor cuts and bruises. They thanked Fira for his help. "You're welcome," Fira said. "You're my friends." They hugged him and petted him. They then explored the chamber and found a door at the other end. It was made of metal and had a strange symbol on it. Zalara recognized it as one of the symbols of the ancient sages. "This must be it," he said. "This must be where they left their writings and artifacts." He pushed the door open and entered the room behind it. His friends followed him. They entered a room that was filled with shelves, tables, chests, cabinets, and other containers. They were all full of books, scrolls, maps, diagrams, statues, jewels, crystals, tools, weapons, armor, and other objects. They were all ancient and valuable. They were all related to magic. Zalara gasped in awe. "This is amazing," he said. "This is a treasure trove of knowledge and power." He walked around the room, examining some of the items with curiosity and wonder. He picked up a book that had a title written in an old language he could not read. He opened it and saw pages full of symbols, drawings, formulas, spells, rituals, secrets, mysteries. He felt a surge of excitement and curiosity. He wanted to read it all. He wanted to learn it all. He wanted to use it all. He looked at his friends and smiled. "Come on," he said. "Let's see what we can find here." They nodded and joined him in his exploration. They did not know it yet, but they had just found a source of great power and great danger. Zalara and his friends spent several hours in the room, reading and studying the books and scrolls of the ancient sages. They learned many things about magic, history, science, and philosophy. They also found some artifacts that they could use, such as a crystal ball that could show them visions of the past and the future, a ring that could make them invisible, a wand that could shoot lightning bolts, and a cloak that could protect them from harm. They were fascinated and delighted by their discoveries. They felt like they had gained a lot of knowledge and power. They felt like they had found a way to defeat Malakar. They decided to take some of the books and artifacts with them and leave the rest in the room. They did not want to be greedy or disrespectful to the sages. They also did not want to attract unwanted attention from Malakar or his spies. They packed their bags and left the room. They closed the door behind them and locked it with a spell. They hoped that no one else would find it or enter it. They then left the cave and returned to their horses. Fira was waiting for them outside. He had been guarding the entrance while they were inside. He was glad to see them again. "Did you find what you were looking for?" he asked. "Yes, we did," Zalara said. "We found a lot of useful things." "Good," Fira said. "Can we go now?" "Yes, we can," Zalara said. "Let's go." They mounted their horses and rode away from the cave. They headed to the nearest town, where they planned to rest for a while and then continue their journey. They did not know it yet, but they had just made a big mistake. They had just awakened a dark force that had been sleeping in the cave for a long time. A force that was connected to Malakar. A force that was angry and hungry for revenge. A force that would soon follow them and haunt them. Zalara and his friends reached the town of Laura, where they rented a room in an inn. They were tired and hungry after their adventure in the cave. They wanted to relax and enjoy themselves for a while. They ate a hearty meal and drank some wine. They laughed and joked and told stories. They showed each other some of the books and artifacts they had taken from the cave. They tried some of the spells and effects they had learned. They had a lot of fun. They did not notice that they were being watched. They did not notice that a shadowy figure was lurking outside the inn, observing them through a window. They did not notice that the figure had a familiar face. A face that was pale and gaunt, with sunken eyes and a twisted smile. A face that belonged to Malakar. Malakar had sensed their presence in the cave. He had felt their intrusion into his domain. He had felt their theft of his secrets. He had been furious. He had followed them to the town, using his magic to disguise himself as a traveler. He had waited for the right moment to strike. He had found it. He raised his hand and muttered a word. A blast of dark energy flew from his hand and hit the inn. The inn exploded in flames. Zalara and his friends were caught off guard. They had no time to react or escape. They were burned alive by the fire. They screamed in pain and terror. They died in agony. Malakar laughed wickedly. He had killed them all. He had avenged himself. He had reclaimed his power. He walked away from the burning inn, feeling satisfied and triumphant. He did not care about the other people who lived in the town, or the ones who died in the fire. He did not care about anything but himself. He was Malakar, the master of darkness. He was Malakar, the ruler of Zalara. He was Malakar, the conqueror of the world.